From a technical standpoint, I have learned how to debug. I've learned how to ask questions of other developers in an effective way. I've learned how to learn. I've learned how to essentially learn new technologies quickly so that I can move from one project to another fairly quickly. Um, I've learned that once you know one particular programming language, if you're moving on to another project with a similar programming language, there are so many similarities that you can teach yourself to learn those new languages quickly. And you have the opportunity to build that skill, like essentially learning and teaching yourself new things without the help of others or without significant help from others. Those are some really big things that I've learned at Praxent. Non-technical would be learning how to have a super informative and valuable conversation with a client. Being able to ask the right questions and determine that maybe what they need isn't what they thought they needed. I've learned how to do that at Praxent. And I didn't know how valuable that would be before I came to Praxent. And I didn't know that that would be a valuable skill to have as an engineer. It's funny, demos are supposed to be a time where you present a finished product or a somewhat complete product, but they're also a really great opportunity to solicit feedback and pivot potentially from what you've already built, either build upon it or change direction slightly. During demos, I feel like if you're doing it well, the developer is sort of guiding the demo to a large degree, and asking the right questions of the client, like, is this what you were hoping for? Is there something else in this interaction that we're missing? I felt most empowered during those kinds of conversations because I feel like at that point, the client is seeing something for the first time. And I feel like they're coming up with a lot of questions and points that probably wouldn't happen if they weren't seeing the product, seeing something tangible, and working off of it. So in that way, I, as a developer, felt most empowered being able to ask those questions and get the most feedback possible during demos. So I really valued demos. I thought they were great. Yeah, so Praxent's helped me grow in a lot of ways. Obviously, the diverse set of projects that I've been given have helped me to learn new technologies, new frameworks, new languages. But in addition to that, Praxent has also supported me outside of my professional work and helped me to learn something that I may or may not apply. I eventually did apply it. They essentially funded a night course that I was taking at General Assembly for machine learning and data science. And that was a huge support to be able to know that they were supporting me in that endeavor. And then maybe about a year and a half later, there was a project at Praxent that required that expertise, and I was able to apply it. And during that project, I was given so much space and time and support to be able to explore it. I was given the freedom to explore without fearing any consequences of making a mistake. Initially, when I started, I feared that, but I learned quickly that that wasn't something to be afraid of at Praxent, which was wonderful. I basically assumed that I would be somewhat micromanaged or observed the entire time, but I think Praxent gives you so much freedom to take care of yourself while still making sure that you have the time you need to get your work done and do it well. The flexibility that Praxent has offered in terms of how I work, where I work, to a degree when I work, those are huge things for me. And I don't think that I can work anywhere now not having those kinds of benefits, having that kind of culture. To know that like my colleagues are prioritizing their kids first means a lot to me, because then I know that I'm in an environment where people are okay with that and they expect that. And so if that were me, I could do the same thing. And it makes me want to be as supportive as I can of those colleagues as well. So it's like this culture that feeds off of itself. Usually some of the most fun moments come out of really challenging moments or really challenging technical work that we need to do. I've never felt alone when working on a technical challenge or project at Praxent. Usually when we're working on something that's technically challenging or hitting a really, really gnarly bug or trying to come up with a solution to a really tough problem, it's not just one person working on this, it's multiple people working together on a Zoom call or in a room and thinking through it and sort of swimming through all of the murkiness to figure out, to come to sort of some agreement and to some sort of solution. And in those moments, it's hard, it's challenging, but it's also really rewarding. And for whatever reason, people are also their most giddy at those moments. So jokes are funnier, stupid jokes are funnier. So at Praxent, I've had the opportunity to work on projects where I am very much the collaborator with the client, determining, hey, the teriyaki flavor and the sweet and hot flavor really look very similar. So having to train a machine learning model to recognize one versus the other is going to be a challenge, and this is how we can solve it, and this is how I'm thinking we can solve it, and getting the input from the client and saying, I think that's a good idea. What if we actually have a tagging system in our application to do that, so that we can create more data with which to train the model to then be able to distinguish between those two flavors.